Somehow I have to bring all of these disjointed ideas together into one cohesive and coherent video. Wish me luck. Morning, friends. I'm trying something a little bit different today. As you may have seen, I went out and I was inspired by Rachel Maxey and her autumn colors and her autumn wardrobe. So here it is, October, and I'm thinking spooky kind of stuff. But I'm also thinking I'd like to have clothes that I can wear because we have our cool days and our warm days. And I'd like to have something that I could wear out in public that's kind of historically inspired, that is a bit warmer, because most of what I've been working with up to now has been broadcloth with lots and lots of petticoats, and it's cotton broadcloth. So it's not really that thick, and it's not really that warm either. It just depends on what kind of underpinnings I have on with it. So I went to the fabric store and I was looking for cotton twill in a nice, lovely, warm brown. I've been obsessed with a picture that came across my feed of a couple who basically looked like they were Victorian explorers or Edwardian explorers, adventurers. There's some Egyptian motifs in there. So I built up this story in my head that they went to the Valley of the Kings, that they went to Egypt and they maybe participated in some digs or something. But the woman's outfit was really very interesting to me because and I'm going to show it here. If you look at the seams on the front gore, the front panel, they are felled, but they're felled on the outside like modern blue jeans today. So that made me think that maybe this is a heavier fabric like a canvas or a denim or even a cotton duck, maybe a twill. So I went looking for something that weight, and I'm going to be playing with the length, not having it full length, more an adventurous length. Not adventurous, but adventuress. Probably below the knee, but but a little bit higher than fashion would dictate. So the fabric I found this. This is a wonderful quilting cotton, and I'm going to use this for lining, for accents, for the bodice. This is going to be my fashion fabric. And I found this wonderful brown duck. I don't think you can really tell the color as well here, but it is a beautiful brown, and a chocolate brown, and it goes wonderfully with this plaid. I wish this plaid was in a little bit heavier fabric. But what I plan to do is to use a cotton twill to add body underneath this for the bodice. Just a tip, if you are going to be washing a fabric that frays and unravels like cotton duck or quilting cotton, take that extra time to run a quick line of stitches down the cut edge. It will really cut down on the fraying, and it will make it a lot easier to work with. So the project that I'm working on today is the 1898 walking skirt. And that is pretty much going to be the only item of apparel I'm doing in this video, because I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to do the bodice yet. So that said, let's get started. I trace my pattern in the size that I want, And I mark everything very clearly, what size it is, what the pattern is, which way the grain line goes, making sure I get all my notches, and I make sure to label everything very carefully. This way I can go back and reuse the pattern over and over, and I don't have to cut my pattern. Nothing bugs me more than to see somebody take a pattern and not trace first. It's so much more versatile, and it's so much easier to make adjustments if you need to make adjustments on the fly. I cannot stress that enough. It is worth the investment of the tracing paper in the time, the money, and the pain. Now, I'm not sure how the duck is going to hang. I have the tarlatan standing by for the hem facing if I need it. Not sure I will, but we'll see. I'm not sure how much body this is going to have. The duck is pretty heavy and pretty stiff. I've got the pattern pieces all cut out, and I've transferred the markings, the identifying marking up here in disappearing ink, and I have also cut a notch where I need one, and I've also made the markings, transferred the markings onto here. This is the back, the center back, and I'm going to leave it open because it's easier to press the seams when it's flat rather than when it's in a big cylinder. This right here is the notch that I'm supposed to leave open and attach the placket to. So here's hoping. I mark that with a pin so I don't forget. Mark it with a couple of pins, which is basically my don't go past this point. And yes, I started in the middle. Actually, I started at the front. I probably should have started here, or could have started here, but I don't wanna. And yes, I start with the needle down so I can remove that first pin. This is a lot of fabric to deal with, so I do a lot of stopping and starting. Just to make sure I don't get anything caught under the needle that I don't want there. And it drives me absolutely crazy to see somebody sew over a pin in their seam. Always remove your pins. You don't want to sew over your pin. I almost got hit in the eye with one once. The needle hit it, the pin broke, and it flew up and hit my face. And ever since then, I have been very much against sewing with the pins in the fabric, because I understand why. And no, that's not why my pins are bent. My pins are bent because I use a lot of heavy fabric. And I tend to wrestle with it a lot. And when I put these pins in, I stuck them out a little past the edge so that I can pull them out. I knew I'd be sewing this way. And again, a rule of thumb is always sew from the top of the garment to the bottom of the garment, not the other way around. Being a bit of a fluffy bird, I'm not overly worried about whether or not I've got exactly 5/8 of an inch or 4/8 of an inch in my seam allowance. As long as it doesn't interfere with the way the garment drapes or fits. And yeah, I probably should be wearing my microphone for this. Go figure. Okay. So this is basically the skirt. I've got to press it. I've got to press the seams. I have to attach the placket to the top of the center back seam, and then I've got to sew the center back seam in place. And after that, attach the waistband, or maybe attach the waistband first and then do the other. I should probably consult the instructions. I'm looking at the directions, which are very important to have. It says to sew the backs together, which is the last seam, the one I haven't done yet, to sew it together along the center back seam and leave enough room for the placket, and then sew the placket. Well, what I'm going to do is sew the placket on, and then I'm going to attach the waistband, because the waistband isn't really well, I'm going to have to sew up the back seam anyway and then fold over the right side. So I may attach the placket and then sew up the center seam and then attach the waistband. See, the thing is, these directions are suggestions, they're recommendations, and they are written in a way that works the best for the person who has made the pattern. You don't always have to do things in order, but if you don't know what you're doing, see, I've been sewing for most of my life. I don't remember ever learning how to sew. I've just always known. So if you are relatively new to sewing, it's very important that you follow the directions exactly. But those of us who've been doing it a while, we tend to play around with things. Sometimes it bites us in the butt, and sometimes it doesn't. So we'll see how this works for me. All right? Stay tuned. Unfortunately, that is all the time I have for sewing today. I've got to go do the mom thing and go pick my daughter up from school. But I have the mock-up mostly sewn together. I have the waistband pinned, and I have to gather it in one spot. Maybe I'll get to it later on this evening, maybe not. But either way, tomorrow I'll be able to test it for fit and length and decide from there whether or not I can go ahead and cut it out of the duck. So we'll see how that goes. It's been a good day. See you tomorrow. Hi, neighbor. Yes, I know. I'm making a spectacle of myself in the front window.